What the hell? What the hell is going on with this show? I. Alright, let me. I don't. I wouldn't know where to be. I have notes, but I don't even. I don't even care. Because I. You know what? I'm gonna go through my notes and then I'll rant for a second and then I'll be done. Raised by Wolves, Season 2, Episode 7. I didn't think it could get crazier than last season, and then it did. And I didn't think it could get crazier than last week, and then it did. But I'm like, where's my crazy threshold? So I'll just go over some bullet points before I talk about my overall feelings at this current venue. I thought it was pretty funny to start off the episode with Paul bringing out the cart full of his mom's brain fruit, saying, "Come and get it. Come get a piece of my mom." So that was funny. And Mother don't want nobody eating that fruit. I guess it'll turn you into a believer or kill you if you're not or something. We're supposed to be keeping track of who's eating it. So we'll see what happens in the finale. Marcus and Paul and the little girl. Yeah. Yeah, the rest of this is just a big WTF. I think we know why. But I'll say this. I think the question was, did it need... Okay, so there's this new... The snake has evolved. Let's put it that way. Didn't see that coming. But Sue tried to communicate to them, to Marcus and Paul real quick, burn me. So Marcus tried to set the tree on fire real quick after the tree was doing its stretches. It was doing its yoga. That must be the tree position. And right as it lit on fire was when the snake started eating it. So I think it needed the fire, because I think it was the fire when I was on my second viewing. It grabs the tree, pulls it up, and as it's consuming it, it was the fire that seemed to turn it into the necromancer form. So I think it needed the fire. So I think Sue was saying, Sue was still helping the whole process. Or maybe it wasn't Sue, because apparently that signal's coming from the core of the... We'll get there. A headless robot. There's a headless robot. Dude was working on his robot because he was going to leave on his own, which clearly he's not going to anymore. Good thing he's got a nanny. Mr. Headless Robot. That's probably what Headless Robot's going to turn into being, Mr. Caretaker. Imagine being raised by someone without a head. Anywho. Snake needs power? There's some kind of... It wants the fruit. Clearly. It wants the fruit. It went for the crate of fruit immediately when it busted out of the cage. And then it's after the tree of knowledge, which is full of fruit. Maybe it's going to go after the people who ate the fruit. Maybe it's going to go after the rest of the fruit in the camp. Who knows? But it seems to need that fruit. It seems to be part of some process that I would be clueless on if it wasn't for the fact of the podcast. Lastly, after that weird fish thing took the baby and put it in its chest cavity, Hunter shot it in the head and it's dead. And they seem to imply that it was just jealous that its infant died, so it stole another baby. I don't know. I hope there's more to it. Because if they're just glossing that over, that's just cray-cray. But then Tempest is like, yeah, that's nice. I told you I don't want that baby. And he's like, no, here, take it. It's your baby. And she's like, ain't my baby. And she turned, don't turn around, because you're going to see my... Yeah. So that's Hunter's baby now. Have fun with that, Hunter. Have fun with your new baby that you didn't want, that you have to have now because you made the decision for the mother instead, and then you don't get it, do you? You don't get fatherhood or parenting. So I'm like on the fence. I don't know how I feel. I was a little like on the fence after last week, and then after this week, I'm kind of leaning towards I'm not really into this anymore. Season 1 was so much different than Season 2, and it seemed more expansive, enthralling. I don't know. There was just more there was more weight to Season 1. I saw an article. I was reading an article, actually, and the headline was Season 2 of Raised by Wolves isn't as good as Season 1 because it has too many characters and not enough to do. And I kind of see what it was saying. There is way too many characters. We didn't need this many new characters, especially to introduce so many characters and then immediately kill them off. And, like, there isn't much to do. What's really happened? The atheist came and sues a tree, and the snake is now different. Sure, there's more stuff. We can nitpick all we want. But I'm just saying overall, it doesn't feel the same. So I'm like, I don't know. This is getting a little too crazy for me with the snake thing. I want my answers. That's why I'm excited to see the finale, which is in literally less than an hour. Less than an hour is when the finale airs, and I'm going to watch it. I've stayed up and I'm going to watch it because I'm very excited to watch the finale, even though I'm not as much into this season. Because I know that the finale is then going to tell me whether or not I like this season overall, which will then determine whether or not I'm still interested in this show or if it was just a first season fluke. Apparently Ridley's still involved. Okay, so I'm like, I don't really know. I don't think I'm digging this anymore. And then I watched the podcast, the newest podcast for episode 7. Spoiler alert that he didn't say. Like, are we supposed to be picking up on this, or was he casually spoiling stuff, or was that just a tease for the answers that we're literally about to get tonight anyway? But the special effect, the visual effects design guy, whoever it was just like, oh yeah, because there's a being in the center of the planet and it's communicating with the snake thing, and then it needed to communicate with the tree so that it had a hard line to communicate with the snake thing, so that when the snake thing ate with the tree, it was now then being controlled as a necromancer snake by the entity in the center of the planet, and now its mission is to destroy the planet. Oh, and by the way, this has been a cycle over and over and over. Religious people. I mean, grandmother kind of gave us a little hint at that. Oh, yes, there was other religious people fighting other non-religious people, and then I'm a result, and this is a result, and here we are going over and over, and that's kind of like what I predicted. What I was guessing the whole show was, even though I was thinking it was like time travel, where it was literally the same characters. But no, they're just doing it more loosely, where history repeats itself. Yeah, we get that. That's not original. You gotta shake some. I have big expectations for this finale tonight. Shortly, because either A, it's gonna knock my socks off and make me shut up and take back everything I just said because the show was brilliant and it knew what it was doing, or B, it's gonna suck and I'm not gonna like it, and I'm gonna be like, this show sucks now, which sucks because the first season was amazing. At this point, I like season 2. It's just not nearly as good as season 1, and I'm losing interest, and I need this finale to get the interest back without having to listen to some podcast to tell me what's really going on. So listen to the podcast, I guess, because apparently there's an entity at the center of the planet. The planet needs to be destroyed. It's all a religious battle. But then it doesn't make any sense. Well, what's the whole point of having everybody come from Earth? If everything is now about Kepler 22b, what's its connection to Earth? I'd like to talk about all of these things further after the finale, because either the finale is going to explain all this and it's going to be great, or it's not, and I'm not going to care anymore. And maybe, much like season 1, I won't even do a video about the finale because it'll just be too... Well, season 1, it was just too out there. I didn't even know what to say. How would I start with, this was the greatest show ever, and then a snake came out of the chick's mouth? I didn't even know, and now I'm like, now we've got a weird tentacle. The tentacle is apparently the roots of the tree, by the way. The roots of the tree turns into tentacles. Of course. Why wouldn't it? So I guess Mother's going to duke it out with her child, who is jealous of Campion. And I'm glad they killed off Robot Girl. They shouldn't have brought her into the picture in the first place. What was the point? Campion likes robots too. He already liked his parents. Anyway, I could go on and on about how I don't know how I feel about this show. Instead, I'm going to go watch the finale here in a few. And then I probably still won't know how I feel about this show. But I hope it really blows me away. I want to see the cube thing with the head sticking out with the weird mask and the goopy. Give me that. I want the answers to the entity at the core of the planet. If you're just gonna if you're not gonna answer the things that you've set up and you're gonna completely ignore them and move on as if they didn't exist and move on to something else, then I'm not interested. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. We'll see.